Welcome to Tech Talks, Evolving Distribution. I'm Corey Hayes, and with me is Bill Rosado. Today, we're exploring how digital transformation is reshaping the distribution industry.
That's right. From e-commerce platforms to CRM tools, we talk with industry experts about how distribution can embrace these changes and thrive in the ever-changing space.
Whether you're just getting started or looking for new insights, we've got you covered. Today's episode is packed with information to help you navigate the digital shift.
So let the tech talk begin.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Tech Talks. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're tuning in. Thank you so much for jumping on and being with us today. Corey Hayes alongside Bill Rosado. Bill, how are you doing today?
Just outstanding. How about yourself, Corey?
Doing pretty good. Cannot complain. We were talking before we got on, have had a lot of rain lately. Today's sunny and nice, so can't complain too much, right?
Yeah, beautiful day.
So we've got a lot of things we're going to talk about today. No special guest, but a very special topic, and really excited to get into it. But Bill, why don't you go ahead and walk us through what we're going to talk about today and what the customer's going to, or what our listeners going to get out of this conversation.
So in the distribution community and specifically e-commerce, it is a big topic. I think there's a lot of confusion around it, what's important. There's some really key things that we're going to talk about today. So actually, we're going to talk about 5 critical things as far as an e-commerce B2B distribution website are important to being successful. And we're talking about things that I think people totally skip past, right? There are some things that are key buzzwords out there and this, that, and the other. And you think you got to do this and you think you got to do that. But when it comes down to it, you're not building a B2C site, right? You're building a B2B e-commerce solution because that's what we're in, right? In our community, we're in to serve B2B. So we're going to really key in on some of those. Well, 5 of those. I shouldn't say some, right? We have 5 topics that we're going to talk about and be able to help you diagnose where the opportunities are in your current solution or help give you the path to go if you don't have e-commerce.
Yeah. I'm super excited to get into this. And you're right. Just from the top, I think sometimes people misunderstand exactly what e-commerce looks like, and everybody goes the way of like an Amazon. And really what, Amazon offers in an e-commerce, while it is powerful and effective, a lot of times if you're in a B2B environment and you're in B2B sales, really what you need isn't what Amazon offers. And I think a lot of times people just don't understand that. And they just think, well, I need a website to sell items. Let's get granular with it. Let's get detailed with it. Let's talk really about what these 5 things are to uncover it.
Yeah. So number 1, let's just start with 1, right? And it's about data visibility and real-time data visibility at that, right? Not data that we cached, right? And it is old data. People want to find information quickly. So can you kind of talk a little bit about the importance of real-time data visibility?
Yeah, so the main thing here with real-time data visibility is having an ERP integrated inventory logic that allows complete transparency onto your customer-facing website. Things like estimated delivery dates and substitution rules, things of that nature. You got to have something that is integrated with your ERP. And you're going to hear that throughout this whole conversation, this whole spiel. If you don't have an integrated solution, you really don't have a solution. It's kind of like putting lipstick on a pig. It doesn't really dress anything up. It doesn't really fix anything. You've got to have something that is tightly integrated with your ERP. And just to talk a little bit about this, inventory that is on a distributor's website really does play a crucial role in attracting and retaining customers. There's no shock that visitors prioritize checking item stock that is on hand, and this information significantly influences their purchasing decisions, especially in a B2B environment. Inventory availability will usually outweigh price considerations due to the critical nature of supply chains and project timelines. Like the old saying goes, if I can get it when I need it, I will pay the price. We hear that a lot in our industry. So having that availability that is right there in your customer's face and shows accurately every time is a huge part of that. Any other things that you want to include in there?
Well, so not just inventory, man. When we talk about data, and a lot of people get all caught up in some of these other open source solutions, right? And it's not just data that's important. Like the data is got to be live, right? So I want to find tracking information, right? So not just if you have it in stock, but hey, I ordered it, what we're tracking it. And I don't need to just see, customers don't want to just see what they ordered, right? They're looking at the company, right? Their whole, so a lot of these that are B2C solutions that are pretending to be B2B, they give you or say they give you that, but they're not giving you the true B2B data that you're looking for.
Yeah, that's true. And I've heard it a lot, and I'm sure that you have too, Bill, around this specific idea of things, specific data points like inventory being available. I've heard some distributors say, well, I fear that, my competitors might gain insight into my stock levels if I display them on the site. And it's perfectly understandable. I get where that fear is coming from. If that's you, I would say two things. Keep your inventory details behind a login. So that way only your customers can actually access it, those inventory details. And if an anonymous person comes to your site, they can't see them. But B, also, you need to understand that determined competitors can usually find this information through other means. They just can't. They can access a customer's login. They can pose as customers themselves. The reality of this really suggests that the strategy of concealing inventory and data just in general to outmaneuver competitors is really not as effective as we hope. I would encourage you, above all else, to focus on serving your customers' needs with things like inventory availability transparency, with data, bringing it to the forefront and that integration being tight, and put it right on the product page of your site. It's crucial to acknowledge when items are in stock and when they're out of stock and provide estimates for their availability. So if you do that, I think, and I've seen where it really builds just this layer of trust and relationship with the customer. And I think that that's the most important thing, is to focus on serving your customers well by building trust.
Wow. So talk about trust, like that kind of really moves into number two, right? As important on your B2B e-commerce site. Customer specific pricing, right? We get that question a lot. True B2B integrated solution is the answer. So can you kind of tell us a little bit about customer specific pricing?
Yeah, so kind of going back to where we at the top where we talked about Amazon, just kind of throwing out that uniform price. Obviously, distributors set their prices very different compared to those large retailers like Amazon or Temu or what have you. They have the same uniform price for everything. Distributors need to show different prices based on each customer specific terms. So ideally, your distributor website should ask users to log in before showing detailed pricing. But then once that customer does log in, they can have access to their contract terms. They can have access to specific contract pricing that is specific to their customer code, all behind the login and all built again with that tight ERP integration. So all that's pulling from your ERP. This really just helps to keep things transparent. Where websites can show that customer pricing, but they can also show general price ranges or sample prices without somebody logging in. And what this does is it actually allows your customers to see the savings that they're getting, the incentive that they're getting for being your customer. It fosters longer site visits as your customers actually see what they're getting by being your customer. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And then again, kind of to tackle the fear on this, I've heard some distributors worry that showing prices might turn potential customers into competitors. However, showing prices that are fair and that fit the market can again build trust and help attract new client. So the focus should always be on serving your core customers well by being transparent and fair with your pricing. Anything that you would add to that or take away?
Well, you're right. Transparent pricing is building trust, right? And you really have to have a solution that's going to be able to give you that transparent pricing that is the same pricing if they called and talked to Corey on the phone, right? You don't want to be managing pricing on a website totally differently, and then it's being managed in the ERP. You want a solution that's going to allow you to just manage it in one place. That point of truth should be the ERP, and you should be able to have that visibility whenever Corey, as a customer, logs in to actually see his pricing. So, yeah, I think it is a big trust builder.
Yeah, absolutely. And to make sure that you have a solution that's accurate every time, that you're not having to manually go in and affect prices. Because if that's the case, then again, you don't really have a solution. And you said something there, same price as when they call on the phone. They want to see that same price that they're getting online. And that really is like, I try to help people understand all the time that their customers want an online experience. They want a good online experience, and you need to take the time and the consideration to make it a good, valuable online experience. But it far and away, studies have shown time and time again that customers prefer online experience as opposed to picking up the phone and calling. Now, of course, there's always some cases where they don't, but generally speaking, it's a really effective tool to have customer pricing online.
So I think the first two things really hit on the key that customers want to come to your website, right? And they want to know, do you have it in stock, and what is my price, right? Not what a generic type price is. So we've kind of covered two big targets that a customer is looking to get answers. But internally, I think the third one that we're going to talk about more is ROI clarity. And I think that's more of an internal question, right, as far as your e-commerce. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I agree with you. The first two have been a lot about data for your customer. The third, attribution, ROI clarity, really it's about focusing on what's data like for your business. And I think what I've seen missing here a lot when it comes to ROI clarity is that leadership over a specific business doesn't really know what revenue the website is actually generating to be able to justify spend, guide better marketing campaigns, or make product purchasing decisions. So if you set things up in motion, things like UTM tracking, quote to order pipelines, CRM connections to track lead to order values, things like that, you'll start to paint a better picture. In today's digital age, excuse me, got a little bit of a seasonal cough. In today's digital age, an e-commerce platform that is backed with powerful analytics is a must-have. Information is power. And it's one thing to say our website generated $10 million this year, but how? Do you really understand how your website generated $10 million this year? Who were the key accounts and the stakeholders in that revenue? How did they buy their product? Did they use a quick order template, or did they return every month to buy the same parts? Did they manually search for part numbers needed and then drop them in a quote and send that quote to you and have you turn it into an order? How much of that revenue was generated from new customer accounts created in the last 12 months? Did any of it come through anonymous shoppers? These are questions to consider. And your website, the analytics that back your website, should be powerful enough to give you answers to these types of questions. And if it's not, you're probably having a hard time justifying the cost of your current e-commerce platform. And that is perfectly understandable. But if you can answer these types of questions with the analytics in your website, then you can start to paint a picture of how effective your online investment really is. You can weigh it against your expectations and then adjust accordingly. So in other words, you gain ROI clarity.
And it's funny. A lot of people think that the ROI just is what runs through the cart, and they don't see the return on investment is one, having a site that's integrated into the ERP is more cost effective as far as time, not managing a website separately and an ERP separately, right? That is the point of truth. And then they don't realize how much time also the return on investment is. So a CSR isn't answering a question that somebody can come and get. So going back to that data that we talked about, allowing your customers to come on saves your team time to work on the things they should be, not just answering calls, right? So you're right. Yeah. There's a lot to that.
Yeah. And now, so if you gain an understanding of that, now the statement isn't just, hey, our website did X amount of dollars this year. Now it's, here is how we improved our customers' lives. Yes. And by the way, we made money doing it. So that's a nice little part of it. But let's go on to number 4, and I'll set you up for this one if that's all right.
Sure.
So content that answers buying friction. I know that this is a big one to you, taking away friction within the buying process. If you want to walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, so there's a lot of tools that your e-commerce should have, right? As far as content. Imagine your customer comes onto your website because they're looking for an answer, right? And how can you possibly give them that answer without having tools that makes it simple for them in order to find it? So anything from a buying guide or a calculator or just comparison charts, right? To be able to compare. But
yeah,
today's day and age, you got to have a solution that's going to allow you to put videos on there, especially short form videos, right? Be able to take things from YouTube and put that content that's out there, because our customers, as they're changing, right? And people probably get tired of me talking about this generational shift, but the buyers of today are not the buyers that they were 10, 20 years ago, right? They have higher expectations and they learn from video. But they also, they're searching here because they want to be able to download specs, right? They don't want to call and ask for it. They just want to come to your website and find that information. And then also really important tool is let me try again. Tongue-tied. Frequently asked questions, right? You know what it is, right? So you can take your CSR team and say, hey, give me the list of questions that you get this week and just document it, right? Everybody documents those questions, and then you can figure out, hey, what are the most important questions? And then how can we answer that? And that could be in text format, right? Building a content page that answers those. But the people I see that do it best take those answers, but then also create a video underneath it, right? To be able to put that type of video technology to use, right? To be able to answer somebody's question. I've seen people even go ahead and do like a walkthrough, right? Of how do I do this on the website, right? And just make it simple and easy for somebody to be able to navigate yours. Have those tools, right? In order to be able to do it.
Yeah. The whole idea is about having a solution that helps you and gives you the power to create rich content to build buyer confidence. That's the key. You've got to build buyer confidence, because a confident buyer is a fast buyer, and a fast buyer is who we want on our website. We want people that are ready to engage, ready to place orders, ready to do business. So I think you hit the nail right on the head, Bill. Take the time. It's worth the effort about as far as putting good content, rich content onto your website. And really only you know what that looks like specifically for your business. We've seen some people with some highly configurable products that have been very hesitant about selling items online because their items are highly configurable. Take good, rich content and actually turn that whole notion around and have their whole business do a complete 180 to where now they love doing business online because they've taken the time to actually give the power to the buyer to understand what it is that they're purchasing through rich content. Build buyer confidence. A confident buyer is a fast buyer.
All right. So just one more, right? Just that last one that everybody's been waiting for. And all of you that hung out for number 5, that this is very important. Self-service. Can you kind of go through the importance of self-service on an e-commerce website?
Yeah, I think this is probably a question that I get more than almost any other question. How can I allow my customers to self-serve themselves using our website? Today's digital age, providing customers with the ability to self-serve, it is really no longer a convenience. It is an expectation. It's quickly shifting. With the advent of the internet, a generation has completely grown accustomed to instant access to information. This expectation is beginning to transcend age groups, with most people anticipating similar online access to their transactional data as they have with things like bank statements. So if you think about online banking, it's almost every bank is now forced to do online banking. If you think about your utility bills, how you pay your utility bill, the day of mailing in checks is very quickly fading away, where online payment portals are now key to go to. So there's a lot that we could go in here, but studies prove that the preference for digital access over those types of traditional methods is overwhelmingly clear. Customers value the flexibility to fulfill their needs at any time, not just during business hours. They want to be able to jump on 24/7, see things like past orders, view tracking numbers, view invoices, pay those invoices. They want to check their order statuses. They want to retrieve their current statements. All of this caters to that customer expectation, and making it available, that such data accessible and available for your customers to self-serve is really an powerful thing that will help you, will help your CSR team, will help take weight and time off of their hands and put more responsibility onto the customer. And don't look at that as a negative. Your customer is wanting that responsibility to go and find their information themselves. And I'll say it one more time, it builds trust. It builds trust with your customer by allowing them to have access to that.
Yeah, so self-service portals are really the gateway to traffic to your website, right? Yeah. When people adopt your website, usually it's because they're coming on to get a question answered, and that self-service portal answers them for them. Back to changing generations, right? Less people want to make a call to get an answer, and your team internally want to take less calls, right? So this is back to the ROI. A true self-service portal or my account page on your e-commerce is important, not just to you internally, but to your customer. And customers now in this day and age are making buying decisions based on that self-service part of it, right? If your website or your company isn't giving them those tools, they're going to go find somebody that's easier, not just to buy from, but to be able to get their questions answers and find the information that's important to their business. In the B2B space, our customers are busy people, right? They need something that they can get instant access, so to speak, the microwave, right? I can go ahead and just plug it in and it works and it's quick, right? I don't have time to put everything together and put it in the oven and got 2 hours, or have to wait till tomorrow. How many of those cooking shows do you see, Corey, right? So I put it in here and it sits for 24 hours and then we pull it out and then we do it. Our customers aren't looking for that. They need instant access and gratification. So when you have self-service portals, you're going to drive success online.
And the other side of that, failing to offer, and this is the last thing I'll say, failing to offer a self-service portal can signal to your customers that your distributor, even if you don't mean for it to, but it can signal to your customers that your distributor lacks the commitment or the capability to provide conveniences of the modern digital landscape. To put that more simply, it means that you're outdated and you need a refresh. And the day is coming where outdated companies are going to be less effective. And I think I shouldn't even say the day is coming. I think the day is here, where you need to refresh your company, and you need to really consider, if you haven't already, offering a self-service portal where your customers can get access to the information they need, because they're looking to make decisions quick, just like you are. And so they need information at their fingertips.
Yeah, I think someone the other day said it best when they said that if you're not adapting to technology, you're going to lose, right? You're losing the game that we're all in, and it's happening quickly, very quickly.
Yeah. Well, I've enjoyed going over these 5 things. I'm sure that there's more that we could talk about. I'm sure there's more that we could cover. But for the sake of time and the sake of your attention spans, and listener, I think we'll stop at 5. And appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you jumping on and being a part of the Tech Talks conversation. We have more episodes coming the first and third Thursday of every month. Be sure to check back on wherever you listen to your podcast. And we will see you next time here at Tech Talks.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Tech Talks Evolving Distribution. Thanks for tuning in.
And we hope you've gained some valuable insights on how to embrace digital transformation and stay ahead in the distribution industry.
A special thanks to our sponsor, Aldrich Web Solutions, for supporting this podcast. With over 20 years of experience, they've been helping distributors win online and maximize their digital presence. Be sure to check them out if you're ready to take your business to the next level.
And if you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. And of course, share this with anyone who could benefit from this conversation.
We'll be back next time with more expert insights. And until then, keep evolving and embracing change.